Welcome to Brief by Beaton. Today I'm going to talk about Tucker Carlson getting fired, Don Lemon getting fired, and why it is becoming so goddamn hard to trust the media. The case between Dominion and Fox News was settled for close to $1 billion. And without it going to trial, we still got to see a lot of the dirty laundry aired. The fact that there was internal communications where on-air personalities were saying they did not think that Dominion helped rig the election, and then they went on air and gave that conspiracy theory credence anyway.
A massive and coordinated effort to steal this election.
Electoral fraud that would be perpetrated through electronic voting.
They used the machines to trash large batches of votes.
If you're a Fox News watcher, this should be it. If you didn't already know they were full of shit, this is clear-cut proof that they are absolutely full of shit. And that's the thing with a media or news organization. Once they lie that first time, there is no reason to ever trust them again. You just have to assume they are lying with every fucking word out of their mouth. Which is why Tucker Carlson being the one to be fired over this seems weird, as he had this to say.
For more than a week, Powell has been all over conservative media with the following story. This election was stolen by a collection of international leftists who manipulated vote tabulating software in order to flip millions of votes from Donald Trump to Joe Biden. The other day on television, Powell said of Trump that when the fraud is finally uncovered, quote, "I think we'll find he had at least 80 million votes." So that's a long way of saying we took Sidney Powell seriously. We had no intention of fighting with her. We've always respected her work. We simply wanted to see the details. How could you not want to see them? So we invited Sidney Powell on the show. We would have given her the whole hour. We would have given her the entire week, actually, and listened quietly the whole time at rapt attention. That's a big story. But she never sent us any evidence, despite a lot of requests, polite requests, not a page. When we kept pressing, she got angry and told us to stop contacting her. When we checked with others around the Trump campaign, people in positions of authority, they told us Powell has never given them any evidence either, nor did she provide any today at the press conference.
I know, if you're on the left, you have to hate Tucker Carlson and you have to celebrate his firing.
Can I ask the audience if they'll help me do something? Come on, folks. Na, 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 na. Na, 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 na. Hey, hey, goodbye. Na, na, na.
I know, I don't like Tucker Carlson either. I don't agree with most of his views. I think he's a smarmy prick. But there was way worse offenders at Fox News. In fact, he's actually calling it out in real time as being bullshit. So why was he the one sacrificed for this issue? Well, this has led to speculation on the real reasons for him and Fox parting ways.
We're learning more about what exactly led to the primetime host departure. New reporting from the Washington Post alleges that it was Carlson's comments about Fox management, as revealed in the Dominion case, that played a role in Carlson's departure.
So what should happen next for Fox News? Well, let's ask AOC.
I believe that when it comes to broadcast television, like Fox News, these are subject to federal law, federal regulation in terms of what's allowed on air and what isn't.
AOC thinks that Fox News should be regulated. I assume she means regulated by the government for which she works. Can you see how that's a problem, that we don't need politicians regulating the media? We had this issue arise when they were going to have a misinformation czar that lasted about 2 weeks before everybody was like, what the fuck are you doing? That's crazy. So I don't think regulation from the government is what needs to happen with Fox News. In fact, you could argue that Dominion suing Fox News and Fox News having to pay them almost $1 billion is the regulation. You go on the air, you lie about shit, it defames a company, they sue you, you have to pay money. Fuck around and find out.
How you like me now?
She then goes on to the classic left-wing talking point in this day and age: incitement to violence.
And when you look at what Tucker Carlson and some of these other folks on Fox do, it is very, very clearly incitement of violence.
She says that it's clearly an incitement to violence. The problem? It isn't, though. You have to actually prove that the person saying the things wanted people to hear the things they said and then go commit violent acts. You can't just say that it's incitement. This is the job of people on the news and politicians. They are going to talk about the issues of the day and they are going to give their take and opinion on those things. So if you don't want Fox News to be able to say things that you think might promote violence, then you do have to look on your side of the media as well.
No, the problem is what forced your fellow citizens to take to the streets: persistent and poisonous inequities and injustice. And please, show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
That's Chris Cuomo openly pontificating about whoever said protests had to be peaceful. I don't even think that this is an example of incitement to violence, but it certainly is turning the temperature up. And this isn't even the real story here. The real story is the fact that during the 2020 protests, the main talking point from most of these media organizations was that all of the protests were peaceful.
I want to be clear in how I characterize this. This is mostly a protest. It is not, generally speaking, unruly, but fires have been started.
Then when it became clear that the protests were becoming increasingly unpeaceful, they had to change direction. See, they can't go back and scrub all the times that they said they were peaceful, so now it's good that they're not peaceful, right? This is what they do. They tell you something's not a thing. Oh, I think this is a thing that's happening. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. Oh, you know what? It actually is, but it's a good thing. That's what they do. It's a bait and switch, right? It's, oh, all these protests are peaceful. They're peaceful. They're peaceful. You know what? Whoever fucking said they had to be peaceful in the first place, asshole. And during the summer of 2020, when all this shit was going down, people were losing their businesses because they were being vandalized and looted, people's neighborhoods were getting destroyed, and people were publicly threatened for not blindly supporting the ideology of the protesters. And during all of this, NPR decided to have on the author of the book In Defense of Looting, where they, shocker, defended looting. And if the whole point is that one side incites violence more than the other, you can't not mention this fucker. Out of context clip of this kid circulated where it was made to look like he and his classmates were the aggressor in this situation, and the media ran with it. People in the media, public figures, politicians, they called for this kid's blood. They doxed him. They claimed that he had a punchable face, which, by the way, he does. But that's not really your job in the media to talk about how punchable this fucking kid's face is. And when the actual full version of the video came out and it was very clear that they were not the aggressors, then they had to backtrack. They had to say, well, he went to a Catholic school and, oh, some stuff happened to that school at one point in time where that was pretty bad. And then, also they were there to protest abortion, so that makes them pieces of shit. They tried to justify their original bad take, because that's all it was. It was a bad take. They got something and they fucking ran with it, and now they look like assholes, so they have to justify their assholery by saying, well, technically this kid still is an asshole, right? These situations not clear-cut enough for you? Well, how about Lori Lightfoot after the overturning of Roe v. Wade, saying that this was a call to arms for the LGBTQ community? That seems pretty unambiguous, a call to arms. Surely no one could defend that.
I think that Lori, when she says a call to arms, that's something we in the 60s know what that means. That doesn't mean to go and do any pride. That means to pay attention and make sure you're there voting, doing what you need to do.
I think,
Let's take a second to break down what renowned scholar Whoopi Goldberg said in this scenario. She basically said that people can hear things, but also reason for themselves and not actually take those things literally. So that's what's happening here. That's the underlying issue. One side says that if this media organization like Fox News says stuff, people on that side who listen to it are too fucking stupid to be able to reason for themselves. But us over here, we can hear lots of things. We're smart. We can actually hear things and take them in and think about them and then make our own decisions. That's what they're saying. Does nobody see how fucking condescending that is? Fox News lies. CNN lies. They both lie. And I'm tired of people saying that it's a false equivalency, that Fox News lies worse. Okay, let's say they lie worse. Okay, and they lie more. Okay, we're on that page. Fine. Fox News lies more than CNN. The whole point, though, is CNN still fucking lies. And you need them to not lie. How can you trust anything they say if they lie sometimes? This equivalency is like saying Fox News is one pile of shit you have to eat and CNN is another pile of shit you have to eat, and justifying it by saying, well, the CNN pile's a little smaller. Great, but you're still eating a pile of shit. Let's look at Chris Cuomo and his brother Andrew. Chris Cuomo, when he was hired for CNN, was not going to cover Andrew Cuomo, who was the governor of New York, because it would be a conflict of interest. But then when the pandemic hit, and it looked like Andrew Cuomo was handling it in New York way better than the evil governors in red states, they had him on regularly to talk about the pandemic and what a great job he was doing, even though at the time he was actually covering up how many old people were dying in old folks' homes. But we still had regular visits from Andrew Cuomo on Chris's show to look forward to, like this.
Is it true that this was the swab that the nurse was actually using on you, and that at first it went into your nose and disappeared, so that in scale, this was the actual swab that was being used to fit up that double-barrel shotgun that you have mounted on the front of your pretty face?
Oh, all those old people died. Chris Cuomo went from not being able to cover his brother to really covering his brother to this.
Before we start tonight, let me say something that I'm sure is very obvious to you who watch my show. And thank you for that. You're straight with me, I'll be straight with you. Obviously, I'm aware of what's going on with my brother. And obviously, I cannot cover it because he is my brother.
Oh, of course you couldn't cover your brother now, because sexual misconduct allegations don't leave a lot of room for oversized novelty props. As long as we're talking about CNN's lack of journalistic integrity, how about this interview with Brian Stelter and Jen Psaki?
What does the press get wrong when covering Biden's agenda? When you watch the news, when you read the news, what do you think we get wrong?
That's a journalist who hosted a show called Reliable Sources, asking the face of the Biden administration what journalists get wrong when covering Biden's agenda. He also refers to them as the press. That's your job. That's what it means, to press, to try to get the actual answers. You're supposed to be there for us. You're not supposed to be a mouthpiece for the administration. This would be like the FDA asking the pharmaceutical companies what they get wrong when they talk about the opioid crisis. And this brings us to Don Lemon, a guy whose list of examples of him being a dick are longer than the unemployment line.
Nikki Haley isn't in her prime. Sorry. When a woman is considered to be in her prime in her 20s and 30s and maybe 40s.
What are you
that's
talking? Wait.
That's not according to me.
Prime
so
for what?
It depends. I mean, it's just like prime. If you look it up, if you Google when is a woman in her prime, it'll say 20s, 30s, and 40s.
Our views, regardless of the color of our skin. We should have this debate
I'm not saying you
without me regarding
views,
you as a black man,
insulting that
but
you're
me regarding you
here,
as a fellow citizen.
That you're
That's what I think
here,
we should see.
whatever ethnicity you are, explaining to me
whatever ethnicity
about
I'm,
what it's like to be black.
Whatever
in America.
ethnicity I'm, I'll tell you what I am. I'm an Indian American. I'm proud.
Moving on.
Anyway, well, now moving on, because that's a big issue when it comes to the American. Hold on, please, with the music. That's a big issue when it comes to the American people. The American people are going to have to suffer through all of this stuff, from election deniers to people who don't believe in facts. We don't have a shared reality, and now it's taken center stage to people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, an election denier, a conspiracy theorist, a QAnon sort of influencer or supporter presiding over the House of Representatives. Mm-hmm. It's a sad day for America when that happens, and it's a sad time for us when we have to deal with that.
And I also...
But Don Lemon being an asshole is not his only character flaw. He also tends to get way too close to the people in the stories that he's covering. Like here with Michael Avenatti at a party. Hey, I like Michael Avenatti. He hates Trump. I hate Trump. That's pretty much all I talk about on my show. So I like this guy, even though he's the subject of the actual story that I'm covering. And the worst example was obviously him and Jussie Smollett.
He also revealed that he called Smollett after news broke of the attack, and he texts the actor daily.
Every day, I say, I know you think I'm annoying. I can show you a text. I know you think I'm annoying, but I just want to know that you're doing, that you're okay.
Yeah.
If you need somebody, you can talk to me, because there's not a lot of us out there.
Yeah, right. Yep.
Sometimes he responds, sometimes he doesn't. He responds and says, you are not annoying.
When asked if he was afraid following the violent act against Smollett, he said he'd been living with angst.
This is before it was public knowledge that Jussie Smollett made the whole thing up, although a lot of people pretty much assumed it was bullshit from the very beginning. But this is Don Lemon admitting that he's actively texting back and forth with the subject of a story he is covering. Imagine if Walter Cronkite came on the air in 1963 and was like, you know, I've been talking to Lee Harvey Oswald on the phone a lot over the last few days, and he really insists that he's a patsy. Now what's great is everybody I mentioned in this video has been fired. Don Lemon, Chris Cuomo, Brian Stelter, and Tucker Carlson are all gone. And that's great. Maybe this is a sign that the media is going to clean house and things are about to get better. I'm still a little cynical that that's the case, but I really do hope that that's what happens because we need to be able to trust the media, especially with how AI and deepfakes are only getting stronger. You need to be able to go somewhere and know that they're telling you the truth. If a video comes out where Joe Biden says he's about to nuke Russia, we need to be able to go to a media source and go, okay, that's bullshit, that wasn't true, and be able to trust it. Because if we can't trust one news source or multiple news sources, then everybody is just going to have their own reality and facts, and you need to buckle up because it's only going to get a lot fucking worse.
This was the actual swab that was being used to fit up that double-barrel shotgun that you have mounted on the front of your pretty face.
You like me now?